The defenestration in question being, of course, Boris Johnson's. How MPs must yearn for a time machine to transport them back to the spring and allow them to do things differently. The opinion poll deficit with Labour was in single figures then, despite Partygate and Pinchergate. Now it's 36%, even 40% in red wall constituencies. But perhaps they won't need a TARDIS. Boris is preparing to refenestrate himself, in the most remarkable comeback since Napoleon's return from Elba. You couldn't make it up. Or maybe the rank-and-file membership could step into a handy TARDIS and spool back a few weeks so they could undo their terrible, doomed decision to vote for Liz Truss. They, the membership, can't say they weren't warned. Commentators and columnists of all political hues predicted a Truss premiership would be a near-instant disaster. One veteran observer stated, with prescient bluntness, that Truss was, quite simply, crackers. I myself, as the leadership race between her and Rishi Sunak began its interminable, plotting marathon, wrote here that she came across as a badly designed robot with serious tech issues and glaring glitches. I couldn't remotely see her cutting it as RPM. And never mind Truss being crackers, the membership must have been out to a very big collective lunch when they chose her as their new leader. What were they thinking of? At least, by the beginning of this week, more than 50% had the grace to admit they'd made a mistake. To say Truss had to go was like saying a gangrenous leg must be amputated. It was a statement of the bleedin' obvious, but day after day this week we heard government ministers in full denial of reality. I spoke to them myself, on Good Morning Britain. They wanted to delude themselves, and us, that the rotting limb was in fundamentally fine fettle. Dropping off? Nonsense. Just a few cuts and bruises. Be jogging on it again in no time. Plenty of wiggle life in those toes yet. Truss has resigned, but the damage to the Conservative Party may be terminal. There are warnings from history. In 1993, Canada's hugely successful Progressive Conservative Party suffered the worst ever defeat by a governing party in the Western democratic world, losing all but two, yes, two, of their 156 seats and more than half their vote from the previous election. Who's to say that won't happen to the British Conservative Party? Maybe Boris. Maybe Boris is the one to say it won't happen. Next week, he could be back as PM. In which case, all bets are off. The Millennium Bug. Remember the Millennium Bug? The fear that, as electronic clocks left the old century to flash into the new, computers, software, mobile phones, smart TV systems, and the paraphernalia of our burgeoning IT existence would wink out, unable to handle the date shift. Power stations could go offline and even airborne passenger jets see their navigation systems go dark. Well, it didn't happen. But millions of us were spooked into fitting out millennium cupboards in advance of New Year's Eve, caches of candles, matches, hurricane lamps, lamp oil, camping gas stoves, torches, batteries and wind-up radios. Not to mention tinned food, pasta, and bottled water, and, some of the harder stuff. I made no secret of how much I enjoyed setting up my own cupboard. It appealed to every Boy Scout bone in my body. I even made a short film about it for This Morning, which Judy and I were still hosting back in 1999. Much of my cupboard survives, and this week, with warnings of winter power cuts from 4 to 7 p.m., I refreshed and restocked it. cometh the hour, cometh the Boy Scout. A bridge too far for listeners, as 6 police certainly weren't short of helpful suggestions on how they should handle the eco-zealots' latest stunt, scaling the Queen Elizabeth II Bridge and bringing the M25 to a 2-day standstill. Radio phone-ins had plenty of advice. Leave him up there and let the traffic through. Electrify the bridge's cables. That'll get him down. Call the SAS in. They'll know how to sort out the BS. Actually, I think the police were in a bind and did the best they could. The answer is to tighten security at the bridge and similar installations. This unacceptable kind of disruption must never be allowed to happen again. Strictly favorites in our house are Hamza and Jovita. Why? Because Judy loves him and daughter Chloe has a girl crush on her. Me? I just vote for who I'm told to.